A very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's four-nation tour is our top story this morning. Now, terrorism is the gravest challenge facing humanity, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said in Germany yesterday. All the details on that big story and much more coming up in the next 30 minutes, starting with the headlines. Prime Minister Modi holds informal talks with German Chancellor Angela Merkel, says Europe must play a lead role in combating terror. Senior BJP leaders L.K. Advani, Murli Manohar Joshi and Uma Bharti do appear before a special CBI court in Babri Masjid demolition case, court to frame charges. Chemists to go on a country-wide strike. A protest is against stringent regulations on sale of medicines. Odisha sounds alert in 4 districts over cyclonic storm Mora. Bangladesh tries to evacuate up to 1 million as it makes landfall. And Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic advanced to the second round of French Open. Andy Murray to begin a campaign today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held informal talks with the German Chancellor Angela Merkel during the first leg of his four-nation tour. The two leaders discussed issues including international terrorism, trade cooperation and investment opportunities and Brexit, among others. Prime Minister Modi exhorted Europe to play a lead role in the fight against terrorism. Prime Minister Modi will be accorded a ceremonial reception today. He will also hold the 4th India-Germany intergovernmental consultations along with Merkel.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Berlin on the first leg of his 6-day four-nation tour. On arrival, he tweeted both in English and German that his hope is for the visit to lead to beneficial outcomes and deepen India-Germany friendship. In his first engagement, the Prime Minister met German Chancellor Angela Merkel at her country retreat, which is the official state guest house. The two leaders held informal talks over a private dinner. Before the meeting, the Prime Minister signed the visitor's book. Later, the PM took to Twitter and said that he had a very good interaction with the German Chancellor.
The discussions covered bilateral agenda, how Germany can partner with India on India's important flagship programs, including skill development, the energy sector, environment, smart cities, digital India. There was appreciation of India's economic reform agenda, particularly the GST.
In an interview to a German newspaper, the Prime Minister had urged Europe to play a lead role in tackling the menace of terrorism. The issue came up during informal talks with Merkel.
There was discussion also on the issue of radicalization and terrorism, and each country's experience in dealing with this. And the recent events, terrorist events, were also mentioned in this context. They reviewed the Brexit, the future of the European Union, and Prime Minister reiterated the utmost value that India attaches to the European Union cohesiveness, which is a major factor of stability in global politics.
After Germany, the Prime Minister will move to Spain. This will be the first visit to the country by an Indian Prime Minister in almost 3 decades. He will call on King Philip VI and also hold talks with President Mariano Rajoy. Later, the Prime Minister will head to Russia for the 18th India-Russia Annual Summit. In the last leg of his tour, the Prime Minister will visit France from June 2 to 3. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some other news. Now, ahead of the GST rollout in the month of July, Finance Minister Arun Shourie has reiterated that the new GST bill will help the country to become a more tax-compliant society. Now, speaking at a seminar in Bangalore, Shourie added that the new tax reform will simplify the process of filing of indirect taxes and will act as a deterrent for evaders. Finance Minister also said that the GST will broaden its revenue base and cut compliance costs for companies, and that the union of various indirect taxes under GST in one price will be a monumental taxation change and will bring greater accountability into the system. Shourie was speaking after inaugurating the new campus of the National Academy of Customs, Indirect Taxes and Narcotics, which will train the officers of Central Board of Excise and Customs, besides officers of VAT Department in the new GST regime.
It certainly will be a more efficient tax. And one of the important changes an efficient tax can bring about is that not only does it check evasion, it also helps in evolving India from becoming a more tax-compliant society.
On to the other big story of the day. BJP leaders L.K. Advani, Murli Manohar Joshi and Uma Bharti will appear before a special CBI court in Lucknow today for framing of charges in the Babri Masjid demolition case. Besides them, the BJP leader Vinay Katiyar, VHP's Vishnu Hari Dalmia and one-time firebrand Hindutva preacher Sadhvi Ritambara have been asked to present themselves before the court in person. While directing the accused to present themselves in person, the judge had said that no application for adjournment or exemption from personal appearance shall be entertained. Now, the court is hearing two separate cases relating to the demolition of the Babri Masjid. The Supreme Court had on 19th of April ordered the prosecution of Advani, Joshi, Bharti and other accused for criminal conspiracy in the politically sensitive case. It had also ordered day-to-day trial to be conducted in 2 years. It had transferred the case against Advani, Joshi, Bharti and 3 other accused from a Rai Bareli court to a Lucknow for a joint trial in the demolition case. And a special investigation team has been formed by the Uttar Pradesh police to probe the Saharanpur clashes. Now, 10 inspectors will be part of the team that will be investigating as many as 40 cases registered between 5th of May and 23rd of May in connection with the clashes. Saharanpur, remember, has been witnessing large-scale caste-based violence over the past few days. Over a dozen people have been injured, 2 have been killed and more than 60 homes have been burnt down in clashes between communities in Sabirpur village. Now, the formation of the SIT comes a day after a PIL was filed in the Allahabad High Court demanding a judicial probe. The CBI will probe the controversial merger of Air India and Indian Airlines under the former UPA government. It will also investigate the alleged irregularities in the purchase and lease of aircrafts by the 2 state-run carriers, which caused huge losses to the exchequer. The investigating agency has registered 3 FIRs and a preliminary inquiry, including surrender of profitable routes to favour private airlines. Now, the cases have been registered against unidentified officials of Air India, Ministry of Civil Aviation and others under the charges of criminal conspiracy, cheating and corruption. The allegations relate to purchase of 111 aircrafts for national airlines, which were costing about 70,000 crore rupees to benefit foreign aircraft manufacturers. The CBI's action follows the Supreme Court's 5th of January direction on a petition filed by the centre. The process for the merger was initiated by then Civil Aviation Minister Praful Patel on 16th of March 2006. Now, Indian Airlines, remember, officially merged with Air India in April 2007. On to the other big story of the day. Chemists across the country will go on a nationwide strike today to protest against the stringent regulations on the sale of medicines. Now, according to All India Organization of Chemists and Druggists, the one-day strike has been called as several of the representations to the government opposing the regulations on the sale of medicine went neglected. Now, the chemists are also opposing online pharmacy, which they say poses a threat to their business. As per reports, the chemist body is also likely to hold a demonstration to highlight their concerns. On to some other news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has condemned the killing of e-rickshaw driver Ravinder Kumar in the national capital for stopping two men from urinating in public. Now, he has directed authorities to punish the culprits. Prime Minister Modi has also announced an amount of 1 lakh rupees as ex gratia to the next of kin of the driver who was beaten to death in public outside the GTB Nagar metro station. The ex gratia amount has been sanctioned from the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund. Union Minister Venkaiah Naidu also expressed anguish over Kumar's killing and asked the police commissioner to take stringent action against the culprits. News from Jammu and Kashmir. The situation in Kashmir remained peaceful on Monday as the authorities continued curfew-like restrictions at a number of places in the valley for the second consecutive day. The fear of protests over the killing of Hizbul Mujahideen commander Sabzar Bhatt propelled the authorities to take a precautionary measure. Now, according to the police, there was a report about a stray incident of stone pelting on a CRPF camp in a Tahab area of South Kashmir's Pulwama district. Section 144 was imposed in central Kashmir for the second straight day. The shutdown was observed in Srinagar and its adjoining areas. 8 militants, including Hizbul Mujahideen terrorist Sabzar Ahmad Bhatt, was killed in separate encounters on Saturday. Now, separate leaders were put also under house arrest. Meanwhile, the NIA questioned 3 Kashmiri separatists in connection with the case related to terror funding and subversive activities in Jammu and Kashmir. Manipur Governor and former Minority Affairs Minister Najma Heptullah has been appointed as the first woman Chancellor of Jamia Millia Islamia. Jamia Vice Chancellor Talat Ahmed confirmed the development and said that she has been appointed for a term of 5 years. Now, the 77-year-old Heptullah succeeds Lieutenant General retired M.K. Zaki, who completes his 5-year term this month. Heptullah has been given a 5-time member of the Rajya Sabha between 1986 and 2012 and a deputy chairman of the Rajya Sabha for 16 years. She was elected a president of the Parliamentary Union, a Geneva-based organization from 1999 to 2002, and was also nominated by the United Nations Development Programme as its Human Development Ambassador. Time for a very short break. Up next, we have all the international news and sports news, and we'll be telling more about the floods in Sri Lanka. Stay with us.
Gyan chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young, and the rulers as well. The chopper has its origin in the Jain philosophy. It tells the story of virtue, symbolized by the ladders, rewarded, while the vices shown by the snakes are punished. Each square, in turn, also narrates a message of wisdom.
Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, affectionately known as Madiba, was South Africa's first democratically elected president, an international peacemaker and statesman, and a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Through a long career as an activist, Mandela was a crusader for equal rights for South Africa's black majority. Having undergone frequent imprisonment, in 1964, Mandela was sentenced to life in jail. Charged with sabotage, treason, and violent conspiracy, he narrowly escaped the gallows. He was released in 1990, having initiated talks with South African President de Klerk towards ending apartheid in the country. Mandela was awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace in 1993 for his efforts. In April 1994, the Mandela-led African National Congress won South Africa's first elections by universal suffrage. And Mandela was sworn in as president of the country's first multi-ethnic government. He retired from the presidency in 1999 and from public life in 2004. Nelson Mandela died on December 5, 2013 from a recurring lung infection. Uma Bharti, better known by her pseudonym Dalda 13, was India's first woman photojournalist. Bharti entered the field of photojournalism in the late 1930s. For nearly 30 years, till she retired in the early 1970s, at the peak of her career, she made a massive impact. Bharti clicked some iconic pictures of political and national leaders. Nehru, Jinnah, Indira Gandhi have been subjects of her vast photographic collection. Prime Minister Nehru, she says, was her favourite. In 2011, Uma Bharti was conferred the Padma Vibhushan, the country's second highest civilian award.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, the Indian Met Department on Monday announced that the conditions are favourable for the onset of the southwest monsoon in Kerala by today. The IMD said that while South Kerala has been receiving widespread rains since early Monday, only few places have received rains in the northern parts. However, it is likely to improve by today. While Mavelikara and Vaikom each have received 6 centimeters of rain. Kochi witnessed 5 centimeters rainfall. Thiruvananthapuram city, Minikoi and Permade each received 1 centimeters of rain. Now, rain and thunder showers are also most likely to occur at most places in Kerala in the next 5 days. Strong winds are from westerly direction with speed occasionally exceeding 45 to 55 kilometers per hour are likely off the Kerala coast and also over Lakshadweep. Meanwhile, Cyclone Mora has hit the Bangladesh coast. An attempt is on there to evacuate up to 1 million people who could be likely hit. The cyclone was formed after heavy rains in Sri Lanka caused floods and landslides that killed at least 180 people. In India, the Odisha government has sounded alert in 4 districts and also asked the fishermen not to venture out into the sea. The state government held meetings of officials to review the preparedness. The collectors of Mayurbhanj, Balasore, Bhadrak and Jajpur have been alerted. Collectors of other districts have also been instructed to remain watchful in view of the cyclonic storm. The Met Department, however, said that a rain and thunder shower is likely to occur at several places in North Odisha districts and also over a few places in southern parts of the state. And the death toll in floods in Sri Lanka reached 180, with 104 people still missing in the island nation's worst torrential rains in 14 years. The floods have driven nearly 500,000 people out of their homes. The Indian Navy diving and medical teams have been deployed to assist Sri Lankan operations in the flood-hit southwestern region. More rains are expected in the next 2 days as well, as the depression in the east-central Bay of Bengal intensified into a cyclonic storm Mura that made landfall in Bangladesh. Meanwhile, following India's lead in sending out emergency relief to Sri Lanka, some more countries have also started pledging assistance to provide relief to the flood victims. Remember, this flooding is the worst since May 2003, when 250 people were killed and 10,000 homes were destroyed after a similarly powerful southwest monsoon in Sri Lanka.
දරුවන්ගෙත් මගෙත් තිබුණු සේරම සේතතම නැති වුණා අපට එන්දින් හුටින් නැහැ ගෙදර ඉන්දි කට්ටක්වත් අපිට නැතරමට සේරම විනාශ වෙලාම ගියා
පොඩි කඩයක් දාගෙන ජීවත් වුණේ ගේත් එක්ක මහ පොළොට සමතලා වෙලා ගියා මනුස්සයට අංශ භාගෙ පුළුවන් තරම් ඉක්මනින් අපිට කොහේ හරි දැන් කඩලා දෙන්න කියලා මම මහත්තයාට ගියා හිටින්නේ.
Meanwhile, in Moscow also, at least 13 people died and dozens were injured after a severe thunderstorm swept through the Russian capital. Now, more than 50 people had sought medical help as Moscow was lashed with high winds, hail and torrential rain. Hundreds of trees were toppled and electrical cables were also damaged, as Met Department reported winds of up to 80 kilometers per hour. Investigators say that the victims were mostly killed by falling trees as well as various other structures. Moscow City Community Services came to the streets on Monday evening to remove the uprooted trees and debris from the city streets. The Russian Weather Service said that the wind speed reached 22 meters per second during the hurricane and that another storm could hit the capital overnight.
За 10 минут очень сильный ветер поднялся. Вот, и сразу повалилась елка. Елка свалила вон то дерево. Вот, накрыла 3 машины, но, правда, не царапина, удачно. И все быстро кончилось. В течение 10 минут все произошло.
In more international news, French President Emmanuel Macron says he held a frank exchange with Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin in their first face-to-face talks. Macron hosted Putin at the 17th century Palace of Versailles outside Paris. The talks went on for almost an hour longer than scheduled, after which both the leaders stressed that they had agreed on the need to move forward on divisive issues such as Syria and Ukraine. Putin also said that he wanted to strengthen economic ties with France after the restrictions of recent years. It is noteworthy that France and Russia are backing opposing sides in Syria. The issue of Ukraine also came up during talks, with President Putin calling for sanctions to be lifted, which were imposed after Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014.
Et l'éradication des groupements terroristes et en particulier de Daesh. C'est le fil directeur de notre action en Syrie et ce sur quoi je veux qu'au-delà du travail que nous conduisons dans le cadre de la coalition, nous puissions renforcer notre partenariat avec la Russie.
В ходе переговоров почувствовали, что многие вещи нами оцениваются примерно одинаково. Многие вещи мы оцениваем с одних и тех же позиций, хотя есть и некоторые расхождения.
Let's get you some sports news. Sports Minister Vijay Goyal on Monday ruled out any possibility of a bilateral cricket match between India and Pakistan in the near future. Now, this comes ahead of a meeting between BCCI and Pakistan Cricket Board officials in Dubai. While addressing the media on Monday, Vijay Goyal said that India cannot play any bilateral series with its northern neighbour as long as terror emanates from Pakistan. He further added that both terrorism and cricket cannot go hand in hand. The sports minister also added that Indian cricket body must talk to its government before proceeding with any proposal for any series with a neighbouring country. Over the last couple of years, there have been multiple efforts from cricket boards of both the countries to organize a cricket series between India and Pakistan, but political tensions have not allowed it.
पाकिस्तान के साथ जो भी मैचेस होंगे, मैं समझता हूं बीसीसीआई को पहले सरकार से बात करने के बाद ही किसी तरह का प्रस्ताव या प्रपोजल देनी चाहिए। मैंने पहले ही क्लियर किया था कि बायलैटरल जो हैं पाकिस्तान के साथ बहुत मुश्किल होंगे गेम्स, क्योंकि आतंकवाद, क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म ये रहते हुए पाकिस्तान के साथ खेल के संबंध नहीं बनाए जा सकते। आतंकवाद और खेल साथ साथ नहीं चलेंगे।
And now an update from the Roland Garros, and Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic advanced to the second round of the 2017 French Open, beating their respective first round foes Benoit Paire and Marcel Granollers. Well, after racing through the first set, things became a little sticky for Rafael Nadal. In the second, Paire led 3-1 and had chances to move 5-3 ahead, but he could not take them. He then called for the doctor at the start of the third set, and the match was over within 2 hours. Rafael Nadal's fine streak of form continued with a 6-1, 6-4, 6-1, beating a home favourite Paire. Meanwhile, Novak Djokovic may have won his first-round match against Marcel Granollers in easy straight sets fashion, but it was the Spaniard who had the highlight reel shot of the day on the second day of the French Open. But Djokovic easily made it through to a 6-3, 6-4, 6-2, beating Spaniard Granollers. Meanwhile, world number 1 and top seed Andy Murray will play his first round of the French Open on day 3 against Andrei Kuznetsov of Russia. Murray has had a poor season with just one title win in Dubai this year. His record this year has been 16-7, and on clay it has not been all that great, with the dismal showings in Monte Carlo, Madrid and Rome. And that's it from me and my team in this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks for watching. Have a great day ahead.